This was $10. Hey guys, what's up? It's Jimmy, and today we'll be taking a look at my top 10 favorite Pokemon Mega Evolutions. Pokemon X and Y introduced the concept of Mega Evolution to the Pokemon canon. The idea seemed like it was taken from almost every 10-year-old Pokemon fan ever. As a little kid, I remember being tricked into thinking Charizard could evolve into an even stronger Pokemon. Same for Blaziken, Swampert, and, well, you probably get the picture. I never believed these stories for very long because I realized just how dumb they were, but the idea always sat in the back of my head. Then came Generation 6, where the Pokemon series went full Digimon and unveiled the new feature. Mega Evolution, a temporary form change for Pokemon when they enter a battle, is one of the biggest changes the franchise has seen in a very long time. It can give weaker Pokemon a second chance to be great and help one of Stealth Rock's biggest victims become viable once again. With that said, today we'll be taking a look at my personal favorite Mega Evolutions. I'll be discussing their competitive strength, but I'll also be throwing in some of my personal biases as well. This is a subjective post, and I'm gonna do what I want with it, because I want to have fun. So, with that said, let's begin. Only a handful of legendary Pokemon have received Mega Evolution so far, and of all of them, I think Mega Rayquaza is easily the most interesting. Without spoiling too much, it's very integral to the plot of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's Delta episode, and its connection to the origins of Mega Evolution itself give Rayquaza more than just a power buff, but an expanded backstory as well. It's a very special Mega Pokemon because, unlike all the others so far, it's the only one that does not need to be holding a Mega Stone to transform. For spoiler reasons, I won't say why or how, but the result is incredible. Mega Rayquaza can make use of hold items in battle, giving it an even further boost to its power. Slap a Life Orb onto this thing, and it'll be time for your opponent to say goodbye forever. It's the most broken thing in the history of Pokemon games since Gen 1 Mewtwo, but sometimes God Mode is too much fun to turn down. Rayquaza just so happens to be one of my favorite legendary Pokemon of all time. Thus, Mega Rayquaza tickles my nostalgia sensors in just the right places, and that's always a fun time. Some Pokemon have grace, some Pokemon have style, but only one has both. And that Pokemon is Mega Slowbro. Oh geez, this poor creature. It looks so goofy, but I love it so much. That oversized shell, those stubby little arms, and this face. This tiny little face begging for the sweet release from its endless spinning. Mega Slowbro's design might be the biggest joke ever, but its power on the battlefield is nothing to laugh at. Its defense goes way up, and it gets some more power in the special attack department as well. Its ability Shell Armor is pretty handy too. Mega Slowbro is a bulky special attacker, so you're most likely going to be setting up a lot of Calm Minds while it's on the field. One thing that'll beat all your boosted stats is a critical hit. Critical hits ignore stat changes and hit for higher amounts of damage. With Shell Armor, you'll never have to worry about critical hits on Mega Slowbro, making it a great powerhouse if you could keep it from getting knocked out. What I like about a lot of the Pokemon games is that they always throw in something for us to laugh at. Just look at Magikarp, Dunsparce, or Stunfisk. They've become fan-favorite Pokemon just because of how silly they are. And I'm glad Mega Evolutions aren't exempt from this franchise tradition. For me, I see Mega Evolution not only as a way for some of my favorite Pokemon to pack an even bigger punch, but also a second chance up at bat for some of the weakest of the weak. The Pokemon with the most surprising Mega Evolution reveal was Audino, but the one with the second most surprising reveal was Beedrill. Mega Beedrill is probably the biggest example of a glass cannon I could ever give you. Beedrill and its counterpart Butterfree are the run-of-the-mill early game bug-type Pokemon. They reach their final stage at level 10, essentially making them tutorial Pokemon for the player to learn about how evolution works. They have low base stats and aren't very viable outside the early part of the game. With its non-existent defenses and low attack and speed, Beedrill most likely never made it past the 3rd gym for most players. However, Mega Beedrill allows the Pokemon to break into the competitive scene. It gets a huge boost to its attack and speed. While you're going to have to protect on the first turn to be able to take advantage of Beedrill's enhanced capabilities, it'll be worth it because it also gets the ability Adaptability. Adaptability raises the power of moves that are of the same type as the Pokemon. And same type attack bonus is already a thing that exists in the game, so you're essentially doubling that boost that you're getting onto your stats already. But mostly, I'm just happy that a previously bottom tier Pokemon is now actually threatening. Somehow, 2014 ended up being the year of buff video game characters. In this new club of jacked up dudes, we've got Knuckles the Echidna, Ike from Fire Emblem, and now Mega Swampert. All of the Hoenn starter Pokemon have grown close to my heart over my many years of playing the Generation 3 games. While the Blaziken line has appeared on my Pokemon list many times before, today it's time for the Swampert family to get some love. I'm a huge fan of weather-based Pokemon teams. They make a lot of Pokemon useful, and while weather effects were nerfed as we transitioned to Generation 6, I still think they're a lot of fun to use. When looking for a fun way to change up my rain team, I came across Mega Swampert. Swampert is not a fast Pokemon, and neither is Mega Swampert to be honest. However, if you raise it correctly to take advantage of its Swift Swim ability, which doubles a Pokemon's speed in the rain, then this thing can be a pretty viable member of your team. Its base attack stat is one of the higher ones in the game, and it gets some pretty good coverage in the moves department, especially with the access to move tutors in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I guess you could say this hulking mass of muscle swiftly swam into my heart. I'm so sorry. Pincer has never been one of my favorite Pokemon. I always thought it was cool, but I preferred its Generation 2 counterpart Heracross far more. That being said, Mega Pincer's here on the list, and spoiler alert, Mega Heracross won't be showing up at all. Oh, how the tables have turned. Mega Pincer changes from a solo bug type to a bug flying type. While it opens itself up to more weaknesses, especially increased damage from rock type moves, it gives the Pokemon more opportunities to get the same type attack bonus. It also gains the ability Aerialate, which changes normal type moves into flying type moves. And not mentioning that Mega Pincer is scary as hell would be a huge disservice to the Pokemon. If you saw this 5'7" beast flying at you, you can't tell me it wouldn't strike fear into the deepest parts of your soul. Mega Evolution feels like an awakening of a Pokemon's true power, and that is definitely represented in Mega Pincer's design. The beady yellow eyes and its wings bursting out of its back make it quite the ferocious insect. I said that I love all the Hoenn starters when discussing Mega Swampert, and the same holds true for the Kanto trio. However, Squirtle has always risen to the top of the ladder when it comes to the ones that I like best. It's the center of some of my fondest memories, and oh my god, it's just so cute. Mega Blastoise is one of the 3 Pokemon in the game to have the new ability Mega Launcher. Mega Launcher powers up Pulse and Sphere moves by 50%. This allows a somewhat weaker move like Water Pulse to gain some traction as it goes from 60 to 90 power while also having the chance of confusing the opponent. It also makes great moves even greater. Aura Sphere jumps to 120 power and keeps its trait of never missing. Dark Pulse also jumps to 120 power and has the chance of making the opponent flinch. And finally, Dragon Pulse jumps to 127 power. All of them are great moves that can do massive damage on a variety of Pokemon, and with Mega Blastoise's boosted defenses, he'll be able to hang out on the battlefield for a pretty decent amount of time. Sure, his cannon may look a bit goofy, maybe even a little phallic to some, but it stays true to the original design while reflecting its new ability quite well. If you saw my list of my top 10 favorite Pokemon, you would have seen that a lot of them got Mega Evolutions in X and Y. Lucario's been a permanent member on that list since its initial debut, and its Mega Evolution is no different. Mega Lucario is a pure powerhouse in both physical and special attack. It's quite versatile as a straight-up contact fighter, mixed attacker, or special-based Pokemon. I don't normally use mixed sets because I'm indecisive, but Mega Lucario's strength is almost too good to pass up. It has access to both Swords Dance and Nasty Plot, allowing it to sharply raise either offensive stat. You could use Nasty Plot to get them to switch into a more specially defensive Pokemon, only to knock them out with a physical attack, and vice versa. Mega Lucario's design is also really impressive. It looks like it's been through some serious shit. It grows dreadlocks, its tail takes the shape of a very bushy cape, and it gets tons of badass stripes all over its body. Having
the aura
has come in handy many times, and I'm sure it will continue to do so for as long as I keep playing Pokemon, I guess. After many years of terrible fan theories about the baby Kangaskhan that's always hanging out inside its mother's pouch, the little thing finally got some attention from Game Freak itself. Hell, some attention is an understatement. This thing quickly became one of the most popular Mega Evolutions in the competitive scene. Unlike most Mega Evolutions, when Kangaskhan becomes Mega Kangaskhan, the mother's appearance does not change. It's the child that springs out of her pouch and gets a battle-ready makeover. Together, the two join forces against their opponent with the ability Parental Bond. Parental Bond allows Mega Kangaskhan to strike with the same move twice in a row during the same turn. One can assume that the first hit is the mother's because it's so powerful, and the second hit, which does half the damage of the first, was made by the child. It's such an awesome ability and can be quite the hurdle for your opponent to overcome. Not only is Parental Bond a useful ability, but it's also the cutest thing ever. When the baby Kangaskhan hops out of the pouch, the mother has to turn the little dude around, and he's always falling down too. It's so cute. And the thought of a mother and her baby kicking some serious ass together is the best mental image I could ever have. Thank you, Mega Kangaskhan, you're beautiful. Charizard has been both a fan favorite and the butt of people's jokes for a very long time. Its powerful design drew many young Pokemon fans in when they began their Kanto quests many years ago. It's painfully obvious that Game Freak was pandering to the Charizard fanbase with Pokemon X and Y. Both Charizard and Mewtwo, both very popular Pokemon, are the only ones currently to have not one but two different Mega Evolutions. Both new forms of Charizard are very powerful and work in their own ways. However, I found myself drawn closer to the Y version rather than the X version. I think it has a lot to do with the design. The X version just seems a little too over the top for my tastes. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but it seems like they tried a little too hard to make it look cool. Does that make sense? I don't know. Regardless, Mega Charizard Y is just a lot more fun to use. It gains the ability Drought, and like I said earlier, I love weather teams. The sun allows it to hit right off the bat with a powerful flamethrower, or give it better coverage against water types by not only weakening their power, but also giving it a chance to knock it out with an instant solar beam. While Stealth Rock can still do a number on this thing, it's going to be packing enough of a punch that its defeat won't feel like as much of a kick in the pants. Jumping back to its design, it really complements its ability well. Its wings look like they've been all dried up to the point where they've started breaking apart because of the sun's immense heat. While some people will probably have a grudge against Mega Charizard X and Y because of what seems like non-stop pandering, let's give the lesser loved version the praise it deserves. And fan service or not, I guess they do both prove their worth. Charizard Y 2012. That's right, number one on this list is Mega Mawile. Like Mega Kangaskhan, this Mega Munchkin rose to the top of the competitive ranks in almost no time at all. I've talked about how much I like Mawile itself before, and now that it's got a Mega in the mix, it's so much cooler. Gaining the ability Huge Power, Mega Mawile's attack stat straight up doubles. Not only that, but it's very bulky in its defense. Gaining access to a Huge Power boosted Play Rough, which already gets stab damage, will bring almost any Dragon-type Pokemon to its knees instantly. I just love how something so small can pack a huge punch too. It's 3 feet tall, probably a bit less if you don't count its giant mouths into its height. This little head demon thing found its way onto almost every one of my teams, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video. If you're new, please subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. This video is part of a crossover with Did You Know Gaming. Click the annotation on screen to watch an episode that I voiced about Pokemon and religion. Believe me, it's a doozy. And if that's not enough trivia for you, then check out my series, Pokemon Weird Facts and Trivia, where I talk about, well, I'll let you put that puzzle together on your own. If you click this torchic head, you'll be taken to a playlist that contains my Pokemon Omega Ruby Nuzlocke challenge. It's on a second channel, so if you're interested in that sort of thing, definitely go check that out. And lastly, I know there's a lot of stuff to do here. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all of those websites. I post about my video process on there. I have a lot of fun on there. I like keeping you guys in the know on what's coming up next. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time with more videos.